Though there are examples of legendary pioneers in science like Isaac Newton who combined faith and science in their lives, religion and biology in particular have a complicated relationship, and that has led to discomfort for students who come from religious backgrounds but who want to have science-based careers. Elizabeth Barnes, a researcher in ASU's biology department, has worked with colleagues to try to find ways to put those students in a better place and help them feel their faith is compatible with science. Elizabeth, why did you want to explore how people who have doubts about human evolution can still study to be biologists?
For me, it started because as somebody who has a love for the study of biology, evolution is a really important part of that. So, in fact, many biologists say that evolution is the entire foundation of the discipline, right? And so when I found out that approximately half of the American public actually rejects evolution, particularly human evolution, that was really surprising to me. And so I wanted to dive into figuring out why.
When we think about biology students, do those percentages, are they very similar? Because one would think that maybe you would lean more toward folks who would in fact believe in evolution, but maybe that's not the case.
So we see a little bit higher acceptance of evolution among our biology students, but it's not as high as you would expect it to be, given that it's the foundation of the discipline. So depending on geographic region, we can see anywhere from 10 to up to 60% of students in college biology classes that reject evolution. Particularly, usually it's human evolution that they have the most problems with.
Does an instructor have to think about that? Have enough instructors thought about that?
So I think the answer to your first question is yes. They should be thinking about that because it's unrealistic to think that we teach science in a vacuum of only science, right? Everything that we do in science is related to society. What guides science is determined by the values of society, right? So to teach our students science without that societal aspect, I think, is a disservice to our students and to society that our students will serve later. Do instructors address it enough? I don't think so. And I think so one of our studies was interviews with public biology instructors teaching evolution and asking them if they actually were addressing concerns of their religious students, whether they were acknowledging them, whether they were doing things that the literature has actually shown is pretty effective for helping religious students accept evolution. And they were often not comfortable with it, and they often did not do it. So I think maybe that we could use a little bit more thought and engagement from their part.
So from another study you've done, what's an effective potential module for getting students who go into it with doubts to at least accept that they're on the same level with their instructor, that they're at least reading each other the proper way?
There's a lot in the literature that's gotten at how students can become more comfortable with learning evolution. And a lot of it's not really that complicated, actually. So it's first being respectful as an instructor, so not belittling religion or religious beliefs. Sometimes we see that in the classes. And letting students know that there is a spectrum of viewpoints on religion and evolution, even among scientists. So often our students come into the classroom with kind of this polarized view that either you're an atheist who accepts evolution or you are a religious individual who rejects evolution. But the reality is that there's plenty of religious leaders and scientists who accept both. And so letting students know that kind of gives them a place, what some people have called a place to stand with religious beliefs in science.
As far as you know, has it led to a lot of students deciding they just can't go into that realm of study, even though they kind of wanted to, because there has been that level of discomfort?
So that research has not been done yet. However, it's coming. For sure. We have some data that we're looking at right now for that. And previous interviews with our students have shown some evidence that could be occurring. So we've interviewed students who have already become biology majors. And they're in biology classes, and they're Christian. And they say things such as, in high school, I knew it was going to be a struggle to be a biology major and be a Christian. So that tells me that these students decided to take that journey, right? But how many students are having that thought and deciding not to take that journey? And that's a really important thing for us as scientists to think about when we're striving for an inclusive and diverse scientific community.
What sort of progress, what sort of evolution are we seeing in terms of the opinions that perhaps students have based on some of the modules, some of the questions that need to be asked? Has a comfort level, in fact, grown based on the studies you've seen.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And this is what's so heartening about the work that we're doing is that we see, so among 60 students in an introductory biology class, we surveyed them before the class about their perceptions about evolution and religion. And then after our instruction, where we tried to implement some of these strategies that are to help students become more comfortable, we found that they said things, our religious students said things like, I am just so relieved that I know now that I can accept evolution and I can still keep my religious beliefs, that I don't have to pick a side. And then even what's amazing is even among our non-religious students, we saw them start to say things like, well, before I thought that religious people in science were not credible. But now I actually see that there are plenty of examples of scientists who can accept evolution and be religious.
Elizabeth Barnes is a researcher in ASU's biology department. She's worked with colleagues on a series of studies related to how students who don't believe in human evolution can be comfortable with science classes, especially biology.